I will recognize the gentlelady from Florida. I think she's back. Representative Cammack, if you would like to ask your questions, please unmute and ask your questions now.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your patience, and very good to see my colleagues. It has been a while. I look forward to seeing you all next week. I appreciate our witnesses and your testimony here today. I'm going to basically summarize my remarks quickly and jump right into questions. Several of our small business owners across my district have come to me here recently with the same problem in the last few months: labor. Positions remain unfilled, job openings remain open, and the shortage of labor continues on. Now, I hazard a guess to say that many others in this hearing today have heard similar concerns from their constituents. Now, we all know that changes made to SNAP amid the pandemic helped Americans through an unprecedented time and challenges in our country. However, I am very deeply concerned that unless a serious effort is made to return SNAP to its original intended purpose, we're moving into an era of lifelong dependence on federal programs where it is accepted and even encouraged, and incentives to help people get back to work and on their feet are set aside. Now, in the spirit of moving our economy forward and helping Americans get out of dependence and back to work, I submitted an amendment earlier this year as part of the budget reconciliation that would appropriate $3 billion to SNAP employment and training rather than to continue the increases in benefits. Now, sadly, the amendment failed to a wave of spirited no's from my colleagues in the majority. Now, I have heard it said by a number of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle that programs like SNAP are not a handout, they are a hand up. And to that, I wholeheartedly agree. Prolonged welfare dependency is no way to rebuild an economy. If any fixes to SNAP should be made, they should be made in the spirit of helping Americans get back to work, accrue savings, and exit the program as productive, successful members of society. Now, Ms. Brown, I had a question for you here, and I want to thank you for your testimony here today. I was looking on the screen in the grid of where you found where you're at. You're up in the upper right-hand corner. So as I'm sure you're aware, and I know you've talked a little bit about this today, both through the state and this committee's own conversation, a gentleman in Minnesota was able to receive a more than nominal SNAP benefit for many months due to Minnesota's use of broad-based categorical eligibility. Now, I say this not to garner personal attacks on the man, but to further demonstrate how sometimes solutions cause more problems. In Minnesota, any and all households within 165% of poverty level are provided with a domestic violence brochure, regardless of what that household's circumstances are. And while we constantly hear of the necessity of services and supports that meet the household needs, we have a patchwork of 44 state policies that provide 44 different funded pieces of paper that never truly meet or really strive to understand that particular family's needs. So it appears that we may need an overhaul, at least across a handful of programs well beyond SNAP. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you. I would agree that the overwhelming paperwork can be difficult, right? With the multiple different paperworks that need to be turned in, different timing, that can be very burdensome both for our eligibility workers, for state offices, and also for participants themselves. However, I stated before, only 1% of people were impacted in Minnesota by our asset test when we reviewed it in 2011, shortly after we implemented in 2010. I would also agree that additional improvements need to be made on a continuous basis, and some of those have occurred with the inclusion of states to review lottery winnings, for example. But I do believe that the overall impact of 35,000 Minnesotans being able to receive SNAP far outweighs the 1% or less of individuals who perhaps are not being entirely truthful with all the information that they're sharing. But this is part of our program, and this is part of what we need to do, is just continuously look at what we're doing and how to improve and how to move forward to better serve. Thank you.
Well, and Ms. Brown, I appreciate your response. Being in the position that you are, we mentioned, multiple states have different programs. Is there a conversation that you have with your colleagues in other states about best practices and models that we can apply and adopt practices?
Absolutely. That is an ongoing conversation. And I do think after 10 years or 11 years of utilizing broad-based categorical eligibility, there is a time to look to say, can we make some uniformity across all of the states? We have a lot of evidence and a lot of information from all of the states who have implemented 40 states, I believe, across the nation that have taken this effort.
Excellent. Thank you. And I know with that, my time has expired. Madam Chairman, thank you so much for your patience and graciously allowing me to answer or ask my questions and submit a statement. Thank you.
Thank you. We're happy to have you.